Hey, so I started thinking I would like to create probably videos to go along with my podcast because I don't know, then it reaches more people, right? So when I think about starting a video on somewhere like YouTube, I think about how we all start somewhere. We all start somewhere, and if we're bold enough to take that step, that place that we start is probably going to be messy. And it's probably going to be like, what did I just do? And we can practice and practice as many times as we want to try and get it right. But it's still that place that we start. So I'm kind of a no practice kind of girl because I realized that if I were to try and do something over and over, I would probably say some really cool things in about 50 other videos that I try taking. So this will probably be messy. It'll probably be not exactly how I would want it, but it's a start and it's a place that we start. So I want you to start thinking about where did you start in different things? And I want you to start thinking about where did you start? Okay, so let's back up. So let's think about what is something you would like to start doing? What is something you would like in your life? And I guess some of my backstory is that I used to do nursing full time and love nursing. I mean, I first got my psych degree and then I was like, well, what do I want to do next? So then I got my nursing degree and I loved it. I love taking care of people. I love being a healer, which is now why I'm into energy healing, right? So when you think about what is something that's a big goal for you, where does that take you? How, on a scale of 0 to 10, what is the likelihood you would take a step towards that goal tomorrow? And all of a sudden, do you feel all those things of like, how would I do that? Where would I start? What would I do? Like, I'm talking like, what's a big goal that you have, right? Because when I thought about leaving nursing in the hospital, I was definitely like, do I do it? Do I not? What am I going to do? Like there's like 1,000 things you think of when you're making a big change in your life, right? But at the same time, we all start somewhere, and I would say starting my business has been one of the coolest things. I've learned so much, just like going to nursing. I learned so many cool things, and that was also kind of I'm going to pack up my bags and, move out of Colorado and go to Arizona and become a nurse. And I did. And what I want you to think about is if you were to start taking on starting your biggest goal tomorrow. Actually, let's start with today because life is now and we want to do it today. If you were to start taking on your biggest goal and take one step towards it today, it doesn't have to be like quit your job and decide you're going to, go traveling for the next year. Props if you do, because, it's all about it's all about doing, checking it all out, right? But what is one thing you could do towards your big goal? What is a big goal you have for yourself that you could do one thing towards? And how does that feel for you? So one of my biggest things that I've started doing is get really curious about stuff, start asking yourself the questions. I'm all about journaling. Like I think I filled my last journal in about 2 months. And I mean like a thick journal, like filled it up, loved it. I love journaling. So I've been starting to ask a lot of questions, writing a lot of prompts. And I want you to start getting curious about what comes up for you when you think about taking a leap towards your big vision, your big goal. Like on top of that, what is your big vision and your big goal? So there's 2 questions right there. But basically, when you think about, for me, it was when I was thinking about leaving nursing, it's like that throat choking sensation of where do I go from here? When I thought about starting a podcast, it was the same, that throat choking sensation of where I'm going from here. But now I'm like excited about where I am in life. I've learned so much through that. And I've learned so much about having my business. And I've learned so much about just being an energetic being and healing others and the path that my life has taken me. And the path, it's been like a little under a year, I would say, but still, we're going to say a year because close enough. Um, so yeah, like you might feel freaked out when you think about what you want to do in your life, with your life. That's okay to be freaked out, but ask yourself, where is the freak out coming from? What is causing that like tightness somewhere? Find what area, because that's my other thing I like to do is I like to look in to what emotions are in what area. So for me, it was my throat, and just different things came up about not being heard, people not listening, things like that had started coming up that I was learning about as I uncovered more. And so when you start thinking about your big thing that you want to do, and you start thinking about, well, what is one thing you can do? And you feel that sudden like, what could that one thing be, right? Find where it's coming from, and then look up what emotions are associated with that and see if you can tie them back to something from what's gone on in your life. I mean, it could be an obvious answer. You never know. It could be super obvious. But if you're not sure, that's a good place to start. And so that's one part of like what I want to say. But another part actually is we all start messy. So you have a choice. You have a choice to take a step towards a big dream that you have, right? And you have a choice to not take a step. And you have a choice to say you don't know. But when you say you don't know, you're still not taking a step, because that's still a choice, right? So what do you want to choose in this moment today? Life is now, like we said, today, right now. What do you want to choose, right? And when you choose to take that step, be okay with being messy. Like, I mean, shoot, like I think my first podcast, second one I kind of liked. The first one I was like, but I still did it. And you know what? I definitely second guessed myself on if I would put it out there or not. Like I'm probably going to second guess myself with this too. And then I'm still going to say, you know what? Go for it. Because you can make something and hold it back, or you can make something and gift it to the world, which is what you're born to do. We all have our gifts that we give to the world, and we're born to do that. So when you do it messy, that's also when you start getting more inspiration, getting more skills, starting to bring in more resources. Just start somewhere, because when you start somewhere, that's where like the magic starts happening, because you've chosen to start your dream. And, I'd say definitely I've had some ups and downs in how I've started my dream, but I can also say with confidence that I have uncovered so much about myself probably in the past year than I have in, I don't know, like the past 10 years, probably more, just in 1 year. Like I've uncovered so much that I have taught myself from taking a chance on myself and from doing it messy, because, like that's kind of one of the best ways to do it is you learn a lot from doing it messy. Like for example, okay, I designed my website, right? I built my own website. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hire someone. I'm just going to learn it, because that's what I do. And so I did. I learned it. And the first one, looking back, is like, well, not so good. The second one, it's better. I liked it. And then I rebranded it again. I picked out new colors. I did all this new stuff. And you know what? Maybe I'll make a fourth one and I'll love it even more. But right now I'm like, oh, I made a website and it's beautiful. Like, so it took 3 websites. I mean, like legit 3 websites that I did before I loved one. But you know what? I still did them, and they were still open to everyone to see them, because I took that step of, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to see where it gets me. I'm going to see where it takes me. And I'm going to love it while I mean, literally, I can sit there for hours and lose track of time just loving designing something. And, you just see where it takes you. You see like all the inspiration that comes out. Because now when someone comes up and they're like, I need help with a website, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be fun. Like, let's do it. Whereas before I'm like, well, let's look into this and let's figure this out. And I'm like, let's press all the buttons and see where it goes, which is exactly what you should, slightly, what would it be like? Figure out the riskiness involved, I guess. Like there is that slight, like, at least think about it a bit. But, press all the buttons in life. Like, because that's what I do. Like I press all the buttons if I can't figure out something, because at some point I can probably fix it too. And if not, there's someone else there who will fix something for me. Like if I can't do it, I'll find someone who can. That's part about being resourceful, right? But press all the buttons in life, because life's going to light up like a Christmas tree when you do, right? Like mine does. I mean, it lights up. I get so many ideas. The more I get curious, that's pressing a button. The more I try something new, pressing a button. The more I just jump in, pressing a button, like just start pressing buttons and see what happens. And like, I mean, I don't mean like press the crazy buttons of doing like something that's totally way out there. Totally you can do it, but I'm just talking about like get curious about your life. Get curious about how you can start living your dream. Get curious about being okay doing it messy. Like, I mean, that's something to get curious about. I'm okay doing it messy because I know it'll get better. When you do something messy the first time, you might not like it, but you get better. You get better and you get better and you get better. When I started nursing, oh my gosh, like not that I didn't have any idea what I was doing, but I was new. It was all new. It's like when you start driving, right? I was so scared. I was so scared of my patients. And then after I nursed in the hospital for like 9 years, and towards the end, it's like, we're good. I've got them. I'm going to go sit and talk to one for a while. I'm going to see where it takes me, because you learn a lot from talking to people. And there was no fear anymore, because I had gotten really good at it, and like I loved it, and I love helping other nurses. So it's kind of like the more you develop that skill, the more your dream's going to come to pass. Like it's just going to get bigger and bigger. It can't help itself, because you're just really tapping into that energy of creating what you would like. And I feel like that's what we're meant to do. And our fear gets in our way. Our fear of needing something to be done just right gets in the way. I definitely tap into that sometimes. Our fear of what's going to happen if I take this step. Totally, because, we never know the outcome. But if you stay where you're at, you also don't know the outcome. You just kind of have an idea of how things will go, because you're used to the routine of what you're choosing to stay in. But really, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's just a lot more unknown, the thing you have been dreaming about. So, try it. It can't hurt. Depending on your dream, I guess it could hurt. But go for it. See where it takes you. So I just wanted that to sit with you today. I want you to get curious about your life. I'm curious about my life all the time. And it lights me up. There's like people that I've met, and they get like, you can just tell when you look at their eyes, they want to know about the world. They are so curious about what the world holds for them. And I love seeing those people, because I'm like, you're going to be a fun one to talk to. Those people are so fun to talk to, because all they want to do is get more information. And I think that's so neat to see. We all should be in that kind of space where we get more information, where we take the time to learn more, where we go for things, and that it's okay if it's not perfect. So that's where I'm at with this, is that I was like, what would I say for a first video? Well, I don't know. But you know what? I started the camera, I started talking, and this is where it's led me. And maybe you've gotten some really good value out of this. Maybe you already know all this. Maybe you're still not sure about what you're going to do. But my challenge to you is take one small step to go towards that dream, because that dream is waiting for you to start living it. So what is one small thing? One of my big dreams is an alpaca retreat. That's like a spiritual grounding retreat where like people can get in tune with themselves, and they can find out, like they can really learn about their purpose. They can find just really reground into nature. It's like this beautiful, fields and trees and yurts, because they stay in yurts, but there's like a community building so they don't get stuck outside. But in my little area that I live in has a tea garden, and a tea garden is like different plants you can grow that you can dry up and make into tea. And so my dream incorporates a lot of tea, I realized, which I really like tea. I like coffee too, don't get me wrong. But I love tea. There's so many different flavors. They're so good. And so my dream that I have has my tea garden and other gardens. But my tea garden's like the one with like the cute little place that I sit at. It's gonna have like that rock path, like some vines maybe. And I sit there and I drink my tea. So what have I started doing in my life? I've started growing plants and I've started drinking tea. And it's interesting because my significant other's like, hey, let's stop drinking coffee. And I was like, at first. I mean, I don't drink a lot, but it was kind of like that's my ambiance in the morning, like as I unroll into my day. And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll stop drinking coffee because I used to drink black tea with cream and honey. And I just started drinking tea as part of, just taking that step towards one day my vision is created. And so, anyways, we stopped drinking coffee. That was fine. And now I have my black tea with honey and cream. And you know what? It tastes better than coffee. And then I have like my sleepy tea for before bed, green tea. Like there's so many, it's crazy. There's tons of teas. Like you can make tons of stuff into tea and I love it. And I probably just went on for like 2 minutes about tea. But I'm telling you, the point of that is that your small step towards your dream doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like I said, like you don't have to quit your job and start chasing down the road to your dream. What is one thing you can do that's going to benefit you towards your dream? I mean, so mine's tea and growing plants because, if you're going to have a tea garden, you should know how to grow the plants in it. Although in my vision, someone is like available that does all of this that I also get to participate in, but like someone who's like really good at it can like help out with the gardens, Just saying, that's part of the vision. It's nice to have resources. So, but when I first started stepping into this vision of having plants and being surrounded by plants, I had a few plants that some were alive and some were not so happy. And now I have tons of plants and I keep getting gifted plants and I love it because it's like I'm building my vision. My life is building my vision around me. My tea drinking, all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's quit coffee. Oh, okay, yeah, let's quit coffee because my plan was to drink tea anyways. So I just want you to get like super clear on your vision. I want you to get super like excited to just do it messy, to just like get out there and do one thing. I mean, like the more you start doing one thing, the more you start doing more things and like take on a big thing too, like, hey, maybe you've wanted to write a book. Well, write a chapter for your book. Shoot, just write a paragraph. And the crazy thing too is like people get so caught up in that big picture of that big picture of this is my vision, how do I do it all at once? Rather than like, hey, this is my vision and what are some resources that I can utilize as I get there, right? Like, okay, publishing a book, right? So you can hear all the stories about, oh, you have to get a publisher, you have to get an editor, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. They may or may not get your manuscript. Okay, well, actually, no. You can publish your own book and maybe it's not going to sell the same. Maybe it is. You don't know, right? It goes back to that. You don't know what would turn out. You just know what you may or may not have chosen to believe from things you hear, right? Because there's also success stories in publishing your own book. Like my point with that is, hey, if you want to write a book and publish it, go write a book and publish it. What's stopping you? And if it makes you nervous or if you have all the reasons why not to, think of all the reasons why you should and just write a paragraph to start. And you know what's crazy is once you start writing, you write more because you get excited by your dream. You get excited to start writing. So you just like keep writing and you just keep writing. And maybe you don't, maybe you get a little stuck, but then you kind of pause and you sit back and you breathe. And maybe you go about your day and then you think, you know what? I wrote a chapter yesterday, maybe 2 pages. Let's not get too crazy. I wrote some yesterday and that's what my dream is. Maybe I'll go back to my dream and write again. Like with my podcast, for example. haven't done that in a few months. I I don't know, allergies, cough, whatever, things get busy. Things definitely got busy. Like all sorts of reasons, excuses I made for why I wasn't doing my podcast, right? And today I was like, I'll do my podcast. I started recording a podcast and I started coughing a ton. And I was like, 6 months in, I can't really fix that too easily. So then I was like, you know what? I keep waking up in the middle of the night and I keep thinking, hey, maybe I should do a YouTube video. Well, you know what? I've sat through this for 20 minutes and I haven't coughed, right? So you get directed in the right way. You start living your dreams. Like when you start feeling that excitement, you just start putting it into your passion. And it's like I said, you want to write a book, you just start small, write a paragraph. Shoot, write a letter to someone. I don't know, just write something. If you want to take a big backpacking hike, put on a backpack and go for a trail walk, and then you'll be like, wow, that was kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that again tomorrow. Although out here it's like 95 degrees, so you definitely want to do it in the morning before it gets too hot. I think that's just my point. Like, I want you to get excited about your dreams. I want you to realize that you don't take on the big picture all at once, because when you start the small steps, you get to enjoy the journey as you get to the big picture. And I want you to be okay with doing it messy, because that's kind of like the best stories. I mean, how many amazing stories have you had or heard people say that were truly, utterly, like ridiculously messy? Like there's some really funny ones out there. If you do it perfectly, it's like, I did this and this and this, and it was amazing. Which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I am saying like there's a lot more life to when it goes wrong sometimes. And like there's a lot of life into doing it just right, but you learn a lot. And so I hope that sits with you. I'm going to have to record another one of these because now I kind of had a lot of fun with this, and I realized I actually kind of enjoyed it more than my podcast, I think, because then I can also take this over to my podcast, and I've just done two things at once. I mean, look at that. 2 birds with 1 stone. I hope you have a beautiful day, evening, whenever you're listening to this. Could be the middle of the night, who knows, but I hope it's a beautiful time for you, and take care. Talk soon.